Welcome to this explainer. Imagine this scenario for a second. Your organization has just weathered a massive operational outage. Your IT and crisis response teams, they've been working around the clock. And finally, the dashboards glow green again. The servers are back online, the databases are fully restored. And yet, the business is still at a complete standstill. Your customers can't be served, the manufacturing lines are halted, and revenue simply isn't flowing. The systems returned, but the value did not. Today, we're exploring exactly why the traditional infrastructure-centric view of operational resilience is just an illusion, and what you absolutely must focus on instead. It's a completely natural reflex. When executives and operational leaders sit down to plan for resilience, they instinctively look right at their IT architecture. We start listing out critical servers, we point to critical infrastructure, and we prioritize our backups. It feels tangible, right? It feels safe. But when a real crisis strikes, the entire executive board quickly realizes that keeping a server powered on is not the ultimate goal. Actually, a much deeper, far more fundamental question immediately forces its way into the room. Okay, let's dive into this. We have to ask a critical question. What is the actual vehicle of value in your company? Because I can promise you it isn't a server rack. To uncover the true center of operational resilience, we're going to walk through a highly effective framework today, the 5 whys and the 5 hows. This isn't about understanding the deep technical nuances of your infrastructure. This is a strategic journey to understand the real priorities of your business and how to govern them when everything goes wrong. Let's start with Section 1, the 5 whys, exploring the infrastructure illusion. As a leader, coming to terms with the fact that millions invested in infrastructure redundancy doesn't automatically equal business continuity can be a pretty jarring operational consequence. We really need to dismantle this illusion first. So, our first why is, why doesn't infrastructure create value? Well, the answer is stark. Because infrastructure merely supports value creation. On its own, a critical server has absolutely zero business value. An application sitting idle? No value. A database, no matter how massive, has no intrinsic value. These are just mechanisms. They're the pipes. They are the stage, not the performance itself. They only exist to enable something else to function. So what exactly is that something else? That brings us to our core concept. Value only appears when an organization transforms something meaningful. Think about a customer order being fulfilled, a contract moving to signature, a payment being cleared, or a manufacturing order being executed. We call these elements business objects. The business object is what actually generates value. If your servers are up, but your business objects aren't moving forward, your organization is functionally paralyzed. And this brilliantly illustrates our second why. Why doesn't restoring applications always restore operations? Think about the difference between application restoration, which is strictly an IT metric, and operational restoration, which is your business reality. Just because an application is available to your users, that does not guarantee that a business object, like a customer order, can actually continue progressing through your workflows. And when those objects stop progressing, value creation flatlines. The real reason for this gap lies in invisible dependencies. Business activities literally never depend on applications alone. For a business object to progress, it needs a whole ecosystem. It needs data, it needs manual or automated validations, it needs established processes, it needs people. And crucially, it needs expert decisions. If the application is up and running, but the person who validates the contract can't access their data, or a key decision maker is unavailable, the business object is stuck. The value is completely trapped. Moving on to Section 2, what crisis reveal? And exposing true priorities. So what happens when a severe disruption occurs? A crisis acts as a powerful, totally unforgiving revealer. It completely shatters the illusion that protecting your IT infrastructure is enough to protect your business. Our third why asks, why do organizations often discover their real priorities only during a crisis? It's simple, because a crisis forces real, immediate prioritization. You can't restore everything at the exact same time. You can't process every backlog simultaneously. The board is forced to answer one brutal question. What must continue progressing first? And I guarantee you the answer from the CEO is rarely, restore server 42. The answer is, we need to get the payroll files out, or we need to release the logistics orders. The real priority is always a business object. Which brings us to our fourth why. Why do some dependencies remain completely invisible right up until a crisis hits? Think about things like expert decisions, crucial suppliers, external partners, or regulatory approvals. You will rarely, if ever, see these elements mapped out in a standard IT network diagram. But the very second an outage happens and a business object attempts to move forward, these invisible dependencies become glaringly obvious bottlenecks. The crisis brutally exposes what truly allows value to flow through your organization. And that leads to our final why in this framework. Why do business objects become the central point of resilience? Well, because they are the ultimate connective tissue. Your data exists for the business objects, your applications exist for the business objects, infrastructure, processes, decisions, they all exist solely to serve the business object. They are the exact point where all your organizational capabilities converge to create value. Now let's pivot to action in Section 3, the 5 hows, focused on rebuilding resilience. Now that we deeply understand the why, we have to move to the how. How can executives systematically identify these true centers of value? The first how is incredibly straightforward. How can organizations identify critical business objects? By asking this one simple question across all departments: if this element disappeared tomorrow, could the organization still deliver value? If the answer is no, you aren't looking at a piece of IT. You are looking at a critical business object. Our second how asks, how can we understand exactly where value is created? You do this by observing transformations in the workflow. You really have to track the business object's progress. Value isn't static, it appears whenever a business object changes state. An order creates value when it moves to fulfillment. An invoice creates value the precise moment its state changes to paid. Once you see that transformation, the third how is, how can critical dependencies be revealed before a crisis? You must methodically map everything, and I mean everything, required for that specific business object to progress to its next state. Map the specific applications, the exact data sets, the necessary human validations, the external partners, and yes, the underlying infrastructure. Suddenly, all those invisible dependencies are made perfectly visible to decision makers. So the crucial point is our fourth how. How can BIA, BCP, and DRP finally be aligned? In so many organizations, these three plans live in completely separate silos. But by using the business object as the common reference, they finally unite. Your business impact analysis identifies the exact object that carries value. Your business continuity plan protects the continuity of that specific object. And your disaster recovery plan restores the specific capabilities needed to transform that object. They finally share a common language. This leads us right to the final how. How can organizations build true value-oriented resilience? By initiating a massive paradigm shift at the governance level. You have to change the core question. Stop asking, what systems should we protect? That just leads you right back to the illusion of infrastructure. Instead, ask, what business object must continue progressing? This simple shift in language completely transforms executive priorities. It places operational value firmly at the very center of all decision-making. Which brings us to Section 4, the Ransom-Kick model, focusing on value-driven resilience. To actually operationalize this shift, we need a structured approach. The Ransom-Kick resilience model is built on the exact principles we've discussed today. Its primary objective is not about saving servers or recovering hard drives. It is fundamentally about understanding what truly enables an organization to continue creating value under severe constraint. It's a comprehensive framework that aligns your governance, your crisis prioritization, and your operational resilience squarely around the transformation of your business objects. And to support this level of complex mapping and governance, practitioners utilize tools like Archeonis.app. But let me be crystal clear on what this is. It is not some magical AI coming in to automatically replace expert judgment. Absolutely not. It is a dedicated methodological and visualization environment. It serves as a structuring environment to map out those invisible dependencies and a coherence environment to ensure your BIA, BCP, and DRP are actually aligned around your business objects. It's what allows executives to finally see the full unvarnished operational picture. As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you, the leaders and decision makers, with this final provocative thought. Look closely at your current resilience strategies. Look at your budgets and look at your crisis plans. Ask yourself, are you merely protecting your systems or are you actually protecting your value? Because as we've clearly seen today, when the crisis hits, the servers might return. But if your business objects can't progress, your business is still standing perfectly still. Thank you so much for joining me for this strategic deep dive. The journey from visibility all the way to true anti-fragility requires ongoing adaptation. To progress your understanding of value-oriented operational resilience and the Ransom-Kick model, I highly encourage you to explore the resources we've listed for you here. Keep asking the right questions, keep focusing on value, and above all, stay resilient.